if there's one thing you can do to ensure you lose the deals that you're working on right now, that is to mention ROI, return on investment. Because according to Chris Orlob from going.io, ROI is dead. Now, if you're not already following Chris from Gong, then you should do, because the content he puts out is absolutely shit hot.
So Chris presented something that's a bit counterintuitive and quite puzzling actually. He'd looked at thousands of sales deals, and when the term or language ROI is used by the seller, he found that correlated to a 27% reduction in close rates. So that's quite surprising. But Chris suggested that was because this language ROI is not targeting your buyer's chief decision-making brain.
Now, if you've been watching our videos recently, you'll have seen this model already, the chimp and the human. The chimp representing your buyer's emotional mind and the human representing their analytical mind. And it's actually a model that we've borrowed from a book called The Chimp Paradox, written by a Professor Steve Peters. You should go and read that book, it's fantastic. And in that book, Peters talks about this chimp mind being 5 times more powerful than the human mind, and every message going into your buyer goes via this chimp. It's almost like this chimp is the gatekeeper. But what does that chimp care about? Well, again, if you've seen our videos before, you'll know that that chimp's primary purpose is survival. And, well, you're alive right now, aren't you? So your chimp has done a pretty good job of keeping you alive so far. So why does talking about ROI not work? Well, let's play that ROI conversation through this model.
Okay, so let's break down what you're saying to your buyer when you talk about ROI. You're promising or suggesting, it's not a promise, that they might get some kind of future gain. What's the first question your buyer's chimp's going to ask itself? Can I survive without this? Well, this is a future gain you're talking about. Your buyer doesn't have it right now, so the implication is, yes, your buyer can survive without it. So that's the first red cross against ROI. What's the second problem? Well, it's suggesting to your buyer that they have to give you something before they get something back. So if I'm your buyer, that's a risk for me. And chimps, well, they don't like taking a risk, especially when they don't have to. And the third problem with this language is you're talking about a future gain. If you've seen our other videos on the chimp, you will know that the chimp cares much more about avoiding loss than achieving a gain. That's another red cross against ROI.
And as a seller, there's another emotional force working against you. So what else does this chimp care about? Well, every time you meet your buyer unconsciously says, well, is this person part of my tribe? And the answer is no, you're not part of their tribe. You're part of the tribe of sellers. I'm part of the tribe of buyers. In fact, your tribe has hurt me in the past. Some of the projects that you've promised will work haven't worked. People like you have talked about ROI before and it's never materialized. So force of tribe is working against you. What else? Well, the chimp cares very much about contrast. That means it's looking for a safe path versus an unsafe path before it can make a decision. And if you don't show both paths side by side, well, the chimp takes over and it invents a path. So if you talk about ROI, what's the other path there? The other path, well, you've already heard about it from John. The other possibility is that the chimp does nothing different. And actually, looking at these two paths, nothing different is the safer option. So once again, ROI is rejected.
So right now, this language ROI, well, your buyer's chimp doesn't care about it, doesn't understand it. In fact, it turns your buyer's chimp off. And remember, this is the primary decision maker. The good news is, though, is that you can reframe this in a way that your buyer's chimp deeply cares about. In order to do that, well, there's something that FBI know about this chimp, something they use in their own conversations that you need to be aware of.
You're going to find out about that tomorrow in another video. Follow John or follow me if you want to be notified of that video. And of course, let us know what you think in the comments.